Indeed.
George Birge is in the studio with us. Good to see you, George.
Good morning.
Nice,
good morning.
Nice
Thanks
to meet
for
you.
having y'all in, having me in.
Thanks for having us into your
Thanks for
studio.
having y'all into your own studio, guys.
I got a text message yesterday from Colt Ford, and he said that he loves you and that you're the best dude ever.
The best dude ever.
And that you are super talented. And he also wanted me to bring up something about you in a hot tub and lasagna. A platter of what is this about?
So Colt's one of my best friends. I call him the Godfather. He knows everybody, and he was one of the first people to believe in me in Nashville and kind of opened some doors for me. And I have a tendency of probably getting too comfortable with my friends, and so Colt invited me out to Pebble Beach. I was going to go play the concert for the AT&T program out there in Monterey. You know, when they have all those celebrities go play the golf course out there, and then the country guys come play the concert. So I'm out there. Colt had rented this house that's like, probably $20,000 for a 4-day rental. Like the most insane pad you've ever seen in California.
Yeah.
And I drive all night to get there in from San Jose. And Colt texts me. He's like, hey, man. He's like, when you get here, we're in the backyard in the hot tub. And he's like, there's a spaghetti in the oven if you're hungry. And I'm like, cool, man. So it's a all glass back door to the house. So they can see me inside the house. I cannot see them. Well, I get there. Look in my suitcase. I forgot a swimsuit, so I take all my clothes off down to my boxers. I go into the oven. I pull out the baked spaghetti. I go into the refrigerator. I grab 3 Coronas. I kind of got them ringed by the neck in my other hand, and I still have my sunglasses on. And I walk out into the hot tub with a bowl of spaghetti, 3 Coronas in my boxers, and my sunglasses on. And Colt looks at me and he goes, "Damn it, boy."
That's how you know you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good night.
All right, George is with us. Birge is the last name, Birge. And we're going to sing some songs. And this whole TikTok thing is fascinating to me, this beer, truck
It's
thing.
a wild world out there, man.
So we'll get into that, and also his new song, which is called Mind on You. Anyway, that's all coming up. George Birge coming up. George Birge is in the studio with us. It's Birge. This whole TikTok thing with the beer, truck thing, explain this to those who have no idea, don't know this story.
Beer, truck.
So buckle up for maybe the wildest story ever. In 2020, I had basically decided that I wasn't going to do the artist thing anymore. Not because I didn't want to, just because I've been kicking at the door for a while and couldn't figure out how to break through. Decided I was just going to be a songwriter. One of the first songwriters to take me under his wing was a guy I idolized out of Texas, Clay Walker. So Clay and I start writing some songs together, have some pretty instant chemistry. He invites me down to his house in Galveston, Texas, and we're writing for his record. Finish writing for the day, and I kind of tell him the same thing. I'm like, man, I'm not sure I'm going to do the artist thing anymore. And he's like, dude, you cannot give up. I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. And Clay's had, 17 number ones, a career that any of us would dream about. So I'm sitting there on the couch, and I'm like, man, Clay Walker's about to change my life with this advice that he's going to give me right now. And he gets real quiet, and he kind of leans in, and he's like, son, you need to put your songs on TikTok.
Okay. All right.
And kind of just all the air went out of the room. I was like, man. But I went back to the room to get showered up before we go to dinner. And I'm like, a little voice in my head was like, dude, how bad could it hurt? Just do it. And so I download this app, completely unfamiliar with it. I have 6 followers, my mom and my sister, and a couple fake accounts. And I click on the country music hashtag. It's what I like. It's the first thing I do. And the very first video I see across the top of it, it says men in country music. And below it is this woman. And she goes on to say, you heard it in the clip, she's like, country music ain't nothing but beer, truck, girls in tight jeans.
Yeah, play a little bit. Here we go.
Beer, truck, girls in tight jeans. Beer, truck, America.
And she has a point, right? In her defense, we do sing about a lot of that stuff. But I was in a great headspace already from writing for that record for the week, and I was like, man, wouldn't it be the best rebuttal if I could show her that a country songwriter could even turn that into a hit? And so I spent about 30 minutes on the foot of my bed before we were going to dinner just writing this verse and chorus. And I got it to a place where I felt like it was a good response, like a funny thing. And I responded to her video with that video. I was like, hey, I turned this into a song. And we go to dinner, and come back about 3 hours later, and my 6 followers have turned into 20,000 followers. And I'm like, Clay, this is the best advice I've ever heard. Yeah. So we're cheersing and having a great time. And over the course of the next week, that 20,000 goes to 100,000. And now there's like thousands and thousands of comments saying that I need to finish this song. And it kind of hits me like a ton of bricks. I realized that I'm going to be forced to put out a song called Beer, Beer, Truck, Truck with my name on it.
And you did.
And you did. Can you give us a little beer, truck?
Absolutely.
Now, are you a little? Is this a little embarrassing to you? Like you're like, I don't want to play this.
Why would
song.
this be embarrassing? This
I don't know. I mean,
this
I
has
get it.
opened all the doors.
It's goofy though.
It's goofy, and I did not. You know, I grew up in love with country music because of the storytelling and all the greats and everything. But I also felt like it was a cool defense of country music, and especially with the backstory, people can see where it started and what I turned it into. And shoot, we're at 15 million plus streams on it now, so it feels pretty good.
I like how you turned it into
do
kind of a
too.
serious thing.
All right, well, let's be real serious about this. It's George, Birge, and the hit song "Beer, Beer, Truck, Truck."
I don't know if I'm proud or embarrassed to tell y'all that this song changed my life, but we all like beers and trucks, right? Somewhere off a dirt road, somewhere where the stars turn blue, somewhere on a tailgate, I'll lean back just dreaming about you. I know you think I'm crazy, out here just living slow. No, I can't blame you, baby, just thought you should know it ain't all BB truck. Girls in them tight jeans, small town riding around. Girl, I hope you're missing me. I know the city called you. Go, baby, spread your wings. I'll be here waiting on you out here in the country. I hope your silver screen beauty queen dreams come true. I hope this whole damn world loves you the way that I do. But if them hills of gold start turning cold and you're done with them new, you've always got a place to come back to your roots. It ain't a BB truck. Girls in them tight jeans, small town riding around. Girl, I hope you're missing me. I know the city called you. Go, baby, spread your wings. I'll be here waiting on you out here in the country. Out here in the country. If you ever get to thinking about coming on back, well, girl, you know where I'm at. It ain't all BB truck. Girls in them tight jeans, small town riding around. Girl, I hope you're missing me. I know the city called you. Go, baby, spread your wings. I'll be here waiting on you out here in the country. Out here in the country. Out here in the country.
Beer, truck, girls in tight jeans.
Does she know? Have you?
She does. So the day that I wrote it, I actually reached out to her and I was like, "Hey, I did something funny with your post. I turned it into a song. I think I'm gonna record it. I'd love to make you a songwriter." And she hit me back immediately. And she said she grew up on country music and had kind of fallen out of touch with it, but this gave her a bunch of nostalgia, and I ended up putting her as a songwriter on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Got to know her a little bit. She's an elementary
What's her name?
school.
Give her a shout out.
Yeah, Erin Chambers. She's an elementary school music teacher just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And she is now a country music songwriter, and she said she started getting her first royalty checks in the mail. So she's a country fan now. I promise you that.
That's so cool. But it also
great
says
story.
something cool about you, too, because you could have easily not even given her the time of day. And instead, you gave her a little paycheck on the side.
You know, I've been in this town for a minute now, and I've been on the good side of things and on the bad side of things, and I felt like it was the right thing to do, regardless of the situation.
It comes back to you, man.
Yeah, and you know
absolutely.
what? You put good energy out there, and you get it back. So I was very happy to do it.
All right, we're going to come back. George is going to play some more. We got your new song. We're going to play that, right?
Would love to.
All right, we'll do that coming up next. Hang on. Hey, in the studio is George Birge, Birge. I know a lot of people are like, why do you spell his name? It's a weird name. George Birge.
It's not a weird name. It's his name.
I mean, it's an odd name.
Thank you for
Big
spelling
D
it. There's
is
a
an
lot
odd
of people
name.
that look UR or think
Yeah.
George Bridge or whatever. So thank you for spelling it, and thank y'all for listening and hopefully looking it up too.
Yeah, Birge. All right, so you've got an EP out. Beer Truck is on there.
It is, yes.
And also, there is this new song that we're called the single in the business. It's called "Mind on You." What's the story on this one? Is it a crazy story like the TikTok story?
It is kind of a wild story. I told y'all in 2020 I wasn't sure I was going to do the artist thing anymore, and I was really leaning into the songwriting side. And we talked about Colt Ford's one of my best friends. Well, I'd called him up. I was like, hey, man, let's write a song today. So me and him get together. Of course, about 9 a.m. he calls me. He's like, hey, man, I'm driving through Bojangles. You want anything?
Give me some of the
Most Colt Ford thing I've ever heard.
Give me some of the fries and some biscuits.
Yeah.
So that doesn't relate to the story, but that's
I figured that was
It does, actually.
I thought that was the first lyrics.
But we sit down to write a song that day, not for anybody in particular. And there's some days in the room where you walk out and you're like, yeah, that was probably practice. Nobody's going to ever hear that song. And there's some days where you walk out and you're like, man, we might have done something.
Yeah.
And this was one of those days. But at the time, I didn't really have a record deal. And, Colt, it wasn't exactly what he does as far as like the country rap inside. So we didn't really have a home for it. So we ended up pitching it to Jason Aldean. And 24 hours later, get an email back with like half of Nashville CC'd on it. And they're like, hey, don't play this song for anybody. We want to hold it for Jason's new record.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, that was the coolest thing to ever happen to me. It was the biggest artist hole that I'd gotten. And I felt like, all right, man, this is life-changing. This is a big, big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fast forward 6 months, this wild song called Beer, Truck completely turns my world upside down. And every record label in Nashville is calling my phone. And I end up signing a deal. And I'm on the phone with the head of the label. And he's like, hey, man, I've listened to everything that you've turned in. And I think that song that you were going to give Jason Aldean, he goes, I think you need to call and ask for it back. I think that's the song that's going to change your life. And I'm like, oh, boy. Because there's some stories in this town of that not working out so good. But, I prayed on it. I slept on it, talked to my wife. And after a few days, I ended up calling Aldean's producer and doing that. I let them know what, the circumstance and asked for my song back. And they were so generous and excited for me. They gave me my song back and was able to put it out with my own name on it. And it's taken off faster than anything that I've ever done out of the gates. And now we're out on tour with Brantley Gilbert and Jake Owen and Gary Allen and, hanging out with you guys on the radio. My world has been completely flipped upside down, and I'm still pinching myself that I get to do this.
Life is good for George Birge, y'all.
Yeah, and just being in here, your cholesterol count has gone up.
Yeah.
Had nothing to do with the plate of bacon I had for breakfast.
Birge, as I say, spell his last name. Check him out online at George Birge, and the EP is out. It's just called George Birge. And Beer Truck is on there. Mind on You is on there.
It is, yes.
And dude, we can't wait to see you in again. I texted Colt while you're
Beer, truck, girls in tight jeans, beer, truck,
honestly, that sounds
America.
That sounds like a Colt Ford. That's a Colt Ford track right there, man.
So great.
Country's truck.
George Birge, everyone. Thank you, George.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, if you like that video, go ahead and subscribe and like and hit the bell and do all the stuff.